Rob, let's go to football. And Deshaun Watson, there is some development here. There are some developments.
Yep.
And it is that the Wall Street Journal reported over the weekend that the NFL, Rob, is looking to hand Deshaun Watson a quote-unquote indefinite suspension while searching for a minimum of 1 year on the ban. And there's a hearing tomorrow with the league, so we could find out soon what is going on with Deshaun Watson. Will he be available? And so big developments there. What do you think? I mean, we thought, you and I have said for a while, we were probably among the first to say that we thought he'd get a year, get the whole season.
Yep.
What do you think of this notion of an indefinite suspension?
I think, obviously, we got to remember, because I know a lot of people are like, that ain't fair. You can't do that. There were no charges. No, that's not where we are. Chris, Trevor Bauer is on the sidelines of Major League Baseball. Didn't the judge dismiss the case? Yes.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with that. When you sign a deal to play for these teams, they have moral clauses and all kinds of other things, and they do their own independent investigation. This does not look good. That's why we thought it would be a year, Chris. We've been saying it.
Right.
A minimum of a year. Now, I think they just want to get clear. We don't want any more surprises. We don't want to say
every
half the
time we
season.
look up, there's something else going. There's some, gory story.
Right, and we don't want any more of them
happening.
Right, and the other thing too, and we know this, Chris, in some of the reporting, you just mentioned the Wall Street Journal had the story over the weekend, and the other story was in the New York Times, your former place of employment, where they had 66 women. The New York Times doesn't report stories on hearsay, okay?
No.
Chris knows that they're as thorough of a news gathering organization as there is in the world. So if the Times is putting out a number like 66, Chris, I'm buying it.
Well, and to that point, Rob, I think, as you said, the league, let's say they suspended him, and it looks like there's no chance of this happening. But let's say they suspend him for 8 games. He misses the first half of the season, comes back. 2 weeks later, there's another woman or a few women accusing Watson of something. The league doesn't want that. They want to get this thing behind them. I got to be honest, this ain't personal against Deshaun Watson. This is them trying to protect the shield.
As always.
And this is them this story is, we just can't have this. And so I believe, Rob G, explain the 2-year statute of limitation situation, which could explain at least a 1-year ban.
Right. Definitely 1 year.
Right. So as you guys mentioned, the Journal reported that the NFL is going to push for an indefinite suspension. Now, realistically, I don't think anyone expects that that's possible. Just because the NFLPA won't allow it. They might be the weakest union in sports, but I think they're a little bit stronger than that to allow for an indefinite suspension.
Oh, yeah. No, you asked for the moon because they'll push back.
Because you want at least a year.
Right. You want hey, don't mess around. We're serious. Because if you say a year, then he's only going to get 8 months. I mean, 6 games or 8 games, right?
Correct.
Right.
So Pro Football Talks Mike Florio, who again famously was an attorney before he got into the NFL reporting, said the reason why that they want at least 1 year is because the statute of limitations for any sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, criminal charges would expire in March of 2023. That's assuming, however,
that
there are no new cases than what has already been disclosed by Deshaun Watson and his attorneys.
It makes sense, Chris. It does make sense. And this way, there's no more surprises. No more.
Right. And as you and I said a couple of weeks ago, in some ways, this, I hate to say it this way, but it could be good for Deshaun Watson. Because, Rob, I said it, the punishment needs to be enough where people that are really disgusted with him feel like, you know what, he served his time.
No, right. Not that he got off light. Not that he got off light or the league looked the other way because he's a star quarterback. Right.
Yep. Didn't give him a slap on the wrist. And so I think obviously another season, he missed last season, missing this upcoming season. People would feel that when he came back in the fall of 2023, people would feel like, okay, he paid his price. And this is, look, Rob, we've seen plenty of people get second chances. He'll get a second chance.
Michael Vick came back in the NFL, Chris. Remember,
the fans will be like, look, he's paid his dues.
Right.
We'll give him a second chance. But also, Rob, if something else comes up, and gosh, I hope it doesn't.
But it safeguards the league.
It safeguards the league, but also Deshaun is not in the public eye at that point to have to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean by it could protect, could be good for him as well. Now, let me throw this out at you, Rob, because the reports out there are that the NFLPA, Players Association, part of its defense of Watson is going to be that the league has not been harsh. And they would say, they'll probably say even consistent or fair with their punishment of owners. And it says in the collective bargaining agreement that owners will be held to a higher, not an equal, a higher standard than players. And you look at Jerry Jones and some of the situations down in Dallas. You look at mainly Daniel Snyder and what's going on with the Washington Commanders. And there are a few women there saying they've been sexually harassed hundreds of times.
Right.
There was a time when it was reported that he paid a woman, I believe in 2009, $1.6 million, or it may have been stemming from an incident in 2009, $1.6 million, basically in hush money. And he groped her, asked her to take her clothes off, tried to have sex with her, all that stuff. And so that is, Rob, I believe if you do wrong, then you should, pay the price. But I also believe in fairness. And Deshaun Watson does indeed have to pay a price. But these owners should have to pay a price too. And I think, Rob, the way for the NFL, because that's real. And that's the optics on that too, Rob, will also, and Robert Kraft is the owner I failed to mention, it will look like no one's really debating that what Deshaun Watson did is worse than some of these ownership situations. But the optics will be, the rich white guys, owners, get off. But the black athlete is suspended for a season. And I think the way for the NFL to get around this, and its bottom line is the motive should be because it's fair and what needs to happen. But it also has a benefit of kind of, safeguarding you against criticism in this situation. They should take the team from Daniel Snyder.
Yeah, I mean, if they have that much on him and evidence, I'm with you. I mean, it's just been a mess, and he has he's just made a mess of that franchise. But I'm sure what they would say, Chris, is that they have done stuff, and you're right. I think Bob Kraft got off scot-free. They had videotape of him. Okay, it's an embarrassing situation. He got off. But Jerry Richardson, who was the first player who ever owned a team, right, with the Panthers, was forced out of ownership, like overnight when that story broke. So I don't know what the Daniel Snyder, what he has over the league, Chris. I don't know, and why they haven't moved on him with all of this stuff there. But they have been harsh because Jerry Richardson paid the ultimate price. And what was he doing? We talked about it, right? Foot massages.
I didn't think it was as bad as Snyder,
right?
He wasn't even close. Yeah.
But he was forced to sell his team. So
that's true.
And here's the other thing. I'm just going to say this. I'm always for fairness. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right?
Right.
But if these numbers are real and you're talking about 66 women and sexual assault, I mean, this is a predator. Like this, if these are, and I'm saying, Chris, if these accusations are real and true, it's a mess.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, look, this should not be construed as a defense of Deshaun Watson, because it's not. But it's just saying the league has a problem here because they haven't been fair. I mean, you're right, Jerry Richardson. That was a few years ago, 2017 maybe?
Yep.
And there have been a few circumstances since there where owners have gotten, if anything, a slap on the wrist, if anything. And Daniel Snyder, Rob, remember when the league wanted its report, they wanted an oral report.
I never understood
Not even that doesn't even make sense.
Right. They wanted an oral report instead of in black and white,
I think what it comes down to, Rob, honestly, Snyder knows some dirt. Right? These owners, it's a billionaire boys club. He knows what some other folks are doing. And so Goodell said it correctly. He doesn't have the power to get rid of Daniel Snyder. The other owners would have to do
right, because is it 75%?
2/3, maybe, something like that.
Yeah, 2/3.
And if Snyder, they hang out, they know each other, they know what guys do, guys are into. Maybe he knows some stuff about a lot of the owners. So they're not moving to get this dude removed because he might blow the whistle. So, there's that.